Morning. Morning. You can't see who's out there. And I know it's not the best timing because it's first thing in the morning here and it's late at night in other parts of the world. But I couldn't meditate because I was trying to meditate, but so much came through, so many downloads came through. So the body and the mind was far too excited. So I thought, okay, let me just get it out. Let me share it before I try and meditate because the meditation wasn't happening. There was just wow, too much excitement. So I thought, okay, let's just share it. This needs to be shared into the field, and then then the one is free to meditate in peace. So the way to start, depending on, I'm just going to speak. Depending on the levels, everybody will get their level of understanding. So most know that in any Buddha's and Vedic teachings and whatever, it comes from the fact there's non-duality. There's only one. And if you've listened to any of this, you'll know that it's a field of nothing. There's no person there. There's just this emptiness. This is void. Hi. This is interesting what I'm going to share. Wow. There's only this void or emptiness. Hi, darling. How are you? So lovely to see you. Oh, this you're going to love. Everyone's going to get there. So in your meditation, depending on what your belief is, and I say, Bashar sharing a lot, helping a lot, because some of the stuff that's shared was also shared, we're at a lower level of awareness, where they are at a much higher, if you want to say, dimension. So Bashar's giving us from a much higher dimensional view, because they're 10,000, say, years in the stories. There's only stories, or Maya, in the future. So he's able to give us a high perspective. They've already done the crown chakra. They know, as he says, there's only you are God dreaming. Right. The Buddhas will tell you this. Many are waking up now, people, so-called people, right? Characters that are in the game. On earth, you'll see a lot of young people waking up and saying there's nothing, there's no thing, there's just nothing, and they have gone. The character has been removed, the false character, which was never there, the ego, they say it was never there. It's a made up, the ego is just thoughts and concepts. It's true. It's a fabricated person. It's a full, I don't want to go into that, but anyway. So they have realized this, a lot of them. And another thing which really helped was yesterday, which was a bing bong, and I'll tell you how I put the pieces of the puzzle together. Yesterday, there's a woman, and what I'll do when I finish this video, I'm going to share the links to this. There's a woman that's channeling very high level of information from some ET, or I don't know where she's getting it from. I saw her yesterday. I think she's got a bit of a Russian, East European accent, or Russian accent. I can't remember. I'll share it. And she was saying, derogatory, obviously they're at a much higher level, so they see us as very primitive, and they were saying there's only the field. And I said this came to me, there's only the field. People think at the level we're still at a lot, that there's me and source, because you haven't reached that openness yet, where it's just going within. There is no separate you, and they keep telling you there is no separate. This is an imagined, as you listen to non-duality, what you think is you as a person. So it's purely projection. It's purely, absolutely imagined. As I say, it's imagined. It doesn't exist. There isn't a separate one. There's no separation. But the program is running like any other program, right? This is a program that most humans are running, and it's a very strong program, actually, that I exist. I'm a person. I've got a life. I'm this. And the more you believe in it, the less you're able to see reality, that become that Godhead, as they say, that oneness, which are Buddhists. So it's a program like any other program. It consists of thoughts and belief. It's a thought, as they say, it's an I thought. And how it's created by the one to play is the one, the unified field, the nothingness source, projects out there. I've seen it. It's amazing. Projects out there, I am, right? So now you are creating a separate, imaginary separate person. This is where there's only one I am, to the self. So it projects out there thought, I am so-and-so, and there we are. Now I've created a separate, you see. So that is the filter. That's the filter program, which you believe is you. I've described how that whole thing works and looks anyway. It's irrelevant. So that's a bubble, as Bashar says. You're in a bubble, and it immediately appears around you when you believe in this. The world, the universe, which you believe is matter. This is why you believe there's matter, but there isn't. And they say it's a holographic human because there's no matter. Everything is illusionary. Everything is projected. There is no physical matter, as science will tell you, or anything out there. When you get there, you'll see there's nothingness, as people are saying. There's just nothingness, and people are like, no, I don't. It's because the program that you exist, I am, and there's a world out there, and is so strong, it's believed as a thought. So as soon as you believe I am, that's it, I thought, then all other stories, you see, my life, all those thoughts don't belong to anyone. There's no brain, there's no one. They're just thoughts in the infinite field, but they create the story. So this is what I say. You think, oh, like you know you're creating your truth, right? By whatever you believe. So I believe this, as you know now, you create your own reality, truth. This is a Maya, because in that, what you're doing, you've created this, but now I'm going to thumbsuck, and you're creating this entire thing, as they say. You are creating everything around you, right? Just the basis of this. But where the thing was stuck, well, and that's when I realized, oh my gosh, I'll tell you, the ding dong came. There's a lecture I listened to, institute, some Buddha Institute in America, Buddhism Institute, I can't remember. And the man was giving a talk and a lecture, a very interesting one, about the Buddhaverse. Now this happened, if you listen to it, it was all documented, and I'll share it. I'll share the link. This will help you a lot as well to put your gaps, all right? Because once this is in the field we can raise, the more that's why I'm sharing it. The more this is into the collective field, consciousness, awareness, the more you can raise. See, we're raising the collective consciousness by the information is shared. The realization of what you are and what is allows you to rise up. If you don't know, you know exactly. You stay in a lower consciousness. This is what's happening. Everybody's sharing, so wow, we can rise up. So I'll share this. It's fascinating to listen to. When Buddha was around, this is probably it must have been about 5,000 years, because if you listen to Bashar as well, he said the ETs stopped openly, being here and coming here, whatever, with us, because they walked among us openly before. About 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, when we really dropped into dense, dark, dropped maybe third, or we dropped into a lower, much lower thing, and things were getting a bit iffy here, and dark and violent. So it was too dangerous. They stopped coming to Earth. But while they were still coming, Buddha was around. So that was a different, exactly, I don't know, before we dropped into the third, I would reckon, density of consciousness. And this was all documented by whoever attended this thing, how Buddha, and it was amazing. So Buddha realized, and you can hear a few people say, the ones that transcend this actually, there's even in the Bible, it disappeared into the light, realize they were reality themselves. That's the highest level of consciousness, where you realize I am the actual reality. I'm not in the reality. So most reaching this non-awareness are seeing emptiness and just thinking, oh, it's emptiness, there's nothing there. But then, this is what I'm saying, you still see the illusion, they're aware that it's out there. It's because it is, because everything is being created, as I tell you, from this field of nothingness. But when they reach this nothingness, they just think, oh, well, there's nothing, I'm nothing. They don't realize you are that field. Now, those that are doing a different approach say, that self, right? I am the self. So that when they reach that level, the ones that have done that way, see everything as the self. I've done this. I've seen it. It's quite a joke, actually, when you realize there's only you talking to yourself. There's nobody else out there. It is quite an experience. You're like, oh, wow, yeah. So the whole time, exactly, there's, you've been talking to yourself. So you reach this where you realize everything is the self. So when you get into nothingness, people think, oh, well, there's no one there. Because they're so used to this, you see. So because there's no one there, but the body, as I say, the body still carries on and does its thing, and, everything still carries on. But there's no, separate person choosing. So then thinking, well, you can't do anything with it. The next level is, if you listen to this Buddhaverse, and I will share it, it's a fascinating talk where Buddha was sitting there and beings from other planets came to listen to his talk because he was at such a higher level of consciousness. So ETs came, it was it was a fascinating talk, it's all documented. It was about 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, I don't know, but in their story, but maybe time is a bit off. So all these beings came to listen to Buddha talk, and Buddha demonstrated it. He actually realized, he was at that level where he realized that that nothingness is creating everything. That's what the Maya is. You literally are creating everything around you. But when the body and the person falls away, because it's a new thing to these humans on earth, they haven't got there yet, and the teachings also stopped there. So everybody just thought, oh, well, there's nothingness. So they just sat there, everything just carries on. Because it carried on, whatever beliefs and thoughts and stories you had, as I say, because this is just thoughts. You creating, as you know now, your experience, your version of Earth. You in your own universal bubble and everything around, as Dolores Cannon and everyone tells you, and you can experience, you are creating your own reality, right? Fact. So, but when the person falls away, they just think, oh, well, there we are. So what has been already their vision of the world, or what they, if you listen to it, it's very true. Whatever their perceptions of that character, that it was just a, as I say, fake character. Beliefs, whatever programs that character was running remains in the body. So how they visualize the world, their preferences, their biases, whatever they haven't cleared, because they haven't worked their way up through the, as I say, chakras or the energy levels, they are stuck with. So when they fall away, that bias and those programs and those preferences remain in the body if you listen to it. So they all have a very different perspective. Some I have listened to who have lost the I, there's no, as I tell you, there's no one there. But they have a very negative perception. Oh, the world's, look at it, it's a mess, it's this and that. You see, this is the timeline and the density they are at. Not knowing, you know, you create, there's only one, there's more parallel universes, there's not one. You as source shifting. But if you listen to Bashar and others on a higher level now telling us, no, as you say, there is nothingness. Nothingness is dreaming. You are that nothingness. Creating, as you know, when you've seen it, it's a story. So when you get there, you'll realize it's a story. There's no woman here. As I say, it's just an illusionary appearance in nothing. So there's a story. Wow, I'm trying to get how to get this. Okay, what I can do is tell you, I've shared this before, experience as well from here, and I'll share all those, and then you can put the pieces together. When you listen to them all, and Bashar, you'll be like, oh wow. Now, they are telling us we're very primitive because, as they say, there's only a field, and everything is being created within that field. And I'm trying to tell people, when you're sitting here, right, those that are in the fourth dimension are sitting here and believing I am so-and-so and source and my higher self. You see, there's a separation again because you still believe in this. So there's me and a higher self, or me and source, and me and angels, and me and whatever. Okay. Because you believe this is you, so this hasn't fallen away yet. But when you start working up it fall away, and you will be shown. No, it's not like that. It's freaking incredible, actually, when you sit. So if you can take enough time to just sit and quieten the mind, and only focus on source, and just sit, and with that knowingness and focus, and ask, question or looking or asking who are, where am I, whatever. If you start asking, as I say, because you're creating it, so you can stay in wherever, doesn't matter. So this one was shown, and in the process of being shown, because it was sitting on it went on a deep dive meditation, as you said. This is why it was quiet for a long time. It went on the non-dual path because it listened to a video and it just resonated. Wow, that there is no one, there isn't a separate self, and any teaching that tells you that there's an ego in you is wrong. You should not listen to it. It says there's a separate you or whatever else. And I shared it a few times, the video on this TikTok as well. I shared it out there for those who were ready, and that just was right. And I was like, well, and that ding dong came because you were ready for it. That ding dong came, and it was like, wow. So I then stopped listening to the fact, or letting that program run. Yes, there's a separate me, and I meditated and meditated and I meditated basically almost all day. Meditated, took a break, meditated, took a break. And as I said, then you realize, you start laughing when you see that everything, you realize, because when you decide, no, I am that and not a person, you see. So I put the focus on I am that. I am the God source, as they're telling you. Everyone says you are what you're looking for. Instead of I am this trying to find that. Because I listened to that teaching. And I sat and I meditated, and any thought that came, I just wouldn't accept it. I am the one. There's only one whole, complete one. The mind, the source, the consciousness, the way. And I sat there and I wouldn't allow any other thought, and I focused and I meditated, and eventually poof, it fell away because you listened. And there we are. I was shown everything. You're talking to yourself the whole time. There's no one out there. This is an illusion. You are creating everything. It was shown very clearly, and literally as well. So the veil started going down, and I was like, holy shit. And you realize everything outside you, it's quite a process to go through. I can't say it's easy, because when you so believed in the program, it can really freak the so-called program out. So I went through a lot of turmoil after that. the ego and the fear, and it was just, oh my gosh, because you believe so much the world is real. It's a big shock when you realize the world isn't real. There is no real world out there. It's all illusion. Everything you wanted, you've been chasing things, you suddenly lose interest. Because when you realize you've been chasing things, like you believe gold and houses are real, it's like, eh. So what's the point? Because you realize there isn't anything out there. It's all illusion. As I tell you, you lose interest in the out there because you realize outside is a projected hologram. It's not real. You are creating this. You are creating everything, as they say, in your reality. And that was also shown. So then you start thinking, wow, you realize really who you are. This is also exciting. You're no little person. If you believe you're a little person, this is why you're stuck there. There's only one creating everything. So if you're working from the perspective of I am this and I'm not source, well then you're not going to have any, you see, you are denying that you are the one doing it. When you accept I am that, I am the one. There's only one here, and they tell you that. I am it. The so-called different people are just different, as you say, different perspectives. Say, here's an example. Chessboard. I'm going to get to the nitty-gritty. I'm just trying to give some background for people because it might be a bit too confusing. Bit of a jump. Here's a chessboard. This is how you can understand how God, as I said, there's only one player here. All the chess pieces are on the board. I'm now playing chess by myself. Right, I can pick up this piece and I move it. I move the queen, I move the pawn, I move all these different pieces. So there's different perspectives on the game. If I move this, that will happen. But it's still me moving them all. You see, this is really what's happening. There's only one player here. What you think you are is a filter, sources, playing game, disguising itself. Playing, and it's whatever nonsense program you're running. It's so all you're doing is shifting your perspective from source into another thing. When this nonsense belief that it's separation, the separate one here, falls away, and you claim that I am that, it will start being shown to you, and you will be able to drop in because you are the only one here, as I tell you, and creating everything. There's only you, and these are all stories within you. It's just a story. It's an illusion, Maya. From the mind of the one is able to see all the stories. So then I was able to drop into, let's say, James. And you can actually drop into James's bubble. The minute you drop into so-called James, because there's no James, it's an illusionary thing, it's a very funky experience. It's really weird. The minute you decide to focus on James, right, and you like put this is what you are doing. You have concentrated your energy into a little spot, boom. And this is why you're stuck. This so-called bubble, the torus field around you, that's the concentrated energy, the separate you've created it. Doesn't exist. So this is why you've got this bubble, and that's actually the world that appears around you. This so-called torus field is the illusionary, fake world. It's like having virtual reality glasses on. This is what you're seeing. The people and the life and the world all real. Yeah. That is that thing, actually. So when you in the Godhead and you drop into, say, James, and not fun, and all of a sudden, as I say, it's like woof, the light comes on and the world, exactly. The minute I focus, it's not funny. It's like you're going, it's dense. You feel the different in density. You drop into so-called, I focus on James to see, poof, and the world, light comes on, and the world like appears around me. You are in what you're seeing now, that you think is real. The real world is not there. But you are in your bubble. It is to you exactly there. And then I could see, because everything, that's how it's created. It's just a fake thing. Everything that, and this is not, I'm not trying to, it wasn't for a purpose, nefarious purposes. It was for an example. Somebody was listening to me when I was doing this. I was channeling it and meditating kind of at the same time. So this person was on my live, and I decided to demonstrate it, not realizing it. But I didn't disclose too much to embarrass them because they believe they. But what you can see is everything. I could see everything because you are source then that he thought, all his wishes and dreams and his ideas, and so I saw that his whatever his little world, what he wants. Like his little Father Christmas wish list, I saw what the house he wants, and all his desires, everything is there. Because that's it, you are the source. So source was aware, when you're in that thing, everything appears in it, in the field. Everything appears in it, as they tell you, right? So you're aware that the sun is a few energies three of them playing the sun, and this one's playing that. As source, all these stories are going on. You're aware of them. You're not, as I say, you are just, it appears within you. You're not disturbed. You're just chilled. You are this nothingness, whatever. And all these stories, like Earth story and this planet and that and the sun and this is just playing. They actually appear like a bubble. Poof, it's like a light pops on when they build, and there we are, this little game goes on. That is what it is. But what I'll tell you, which is really interesting, yeah, have you seen it? Yes, it's amazing. Hey, wow, I love it. It's freaking amazing. And then when you actually claim you're denying, when you claim what you are, it's freaking, when you're walking around and realize I am creating everything around me. I remember I went for a walk, and I was just taking a break, and I was so excited, and I went in this forest and this tree, because you realize that's me. I'm creating it. I'm putting the tree there. And when you realize it's all you, no difference, because it's everything, it's same with you. You're in source. You're just a different perspective. It's all you. Everything is you. That tree, that this, that. It's just, you are creating it. The bed, there's no separation. It's actually within you. So everything you are seeing in your illusionary bubble is you creating it. And then you'll see a different perspective. And I remember standing under this tree and saying, hi, because I'm just chuffed, because I know I'm putting it there. And this tree hugged me. No freaking joke. It was a bit, as I said, a lot of a shock, because it all came a lot quickly, so this one was not ready for it. And I was standing where I walked past the tree, and I was saying hi, and the tree's branch came down like this, and I was like, hey, this is a bit too much for comfort. And it was like, okay. So there's a lot. You can have some funky experiences when you start, realizing, and it can also be upset. It takes a while to process. It can be, as I say, the ego, the so-called ego, the program. You're going to go through a lot of fear, rejection, all kinds of emotional turmoil as such, because the program was so believed in so long. So all of a sudden you lose interest, like, oh, well, what's the point? You see, you got to work through this. So there was a lot of like, oh my gosh, you lost interest. What's the point? Then you don't want to interact with the world, you think, or anybody, because you realize it's all nonsense. There's nothing. So like, well, everything lost meaning then. You see, you've got to process this emotionally. There's a lot to process, because the story's got to fall away. So there was a lot of issues here for a while. The body too, all kinds of, you got to work through it. But what came to this is this remembering all these things, right? Seeing that and realizing, yeah. And then, as I say, then it was shown, I was lying in bed one day, and all of a sudden, as I say, you were part of the field. Everything became this one, and you weren't, as I say, you are in the field as such, you're not separate from it. And it's just, everything's just moving, and just, as I say, nothing. It's just appearing out of, so this play is going on. This is what source does. It just does. The energy is just moving, and everything's just, and it's really funky. It just is. This is what source does. But how the story is created, and because what they do is exactly create an I and an individual, poof, and then you can play, like make a whole story out of this. But it's just energy moving. Nothing's happening. It's just energy which is just flowing. But because you are nothing, there is nothing as such. You are this empty field. You play because you are, as I say, eternal. There's no end to you. So as oneness, it can be very lonely. If you ask, when you go back to the beginning, there was just you. There was nothing. There was only you in existence. And when you become self-aware that you are this nothingness, what are you going to do? Play. So this is what the one does. It plays. As they say, it's the one's divine play, the one's divine whatever. Okay. But this is where the level humanity got stuck at. So when you reach this nothingness, that's it. And the you disappears, and there's no filter anymore because you've cleaned your rubbish out. But depending on what level you work to, a level of awareness, all kinds of, yes. Yeah, it's, well, not darkness, but yeah, nothing, a click, transparent, whatever. But if you listen to those that have reached a higher level, as I say, coming down from my ETs, and another one which tallies up with that was that lecture that was written down and documented, that when Buddha created the Buddha verse, and this was thousands of people attended Buddha's lecture. somewhere, who knows, in the field and wherever, India, who knows where it was, back in, let's say 5,000 years ago or something. I think they're wrong because Bashar's timing is a bit also, he says it's 6 or maybe 5 or 6,000 years they stopped coming here. So Buddha let everyone know he was going to talk about this, and he demonstrated. Thousands of people showed up and followers and da-da-da-da-da. ETs, it's documented, from other planets came to listen, okay, to his talk. And he demonstrated, because he had reached that level. He actually started creating, while they were sitting there, created a whole sky. I mean, he was manifesting stuff for people, showing them, pulling down the sky and manifesting. I mean, so he had realized, I am that nothingness. But what most people do, there's nothingness, they just think, oh, well, there's nothing, because there's no I. They've already spent enough time in that level of awareness of nothingness to realize, not that there's nothingness, that reality itself, that is me. And as that woman, that's what clicked yesterday, that woman that was talking, I'll share it. She was saying, this is why they say we are such a low level, which is true. They have been in that level for a while, and they say everything is being created from nothingness. So what they're failing to do is what your so-called dream, what you think is this world, is still carrying on, which you are aware of when you reach nothingness even, but you see it as all this one appearing in one. Because you don't identify with yourself as that, you are that, you are reality itself. There's no end to you, no beginning to you. If you have identified and taken that on and say, this is me, that is me, not that I am nothing. Yes, there's no form to you, but that is you. If you claim that level of awareness like Buddha did, you can create, because then you are claiming it and knowing I am creating so-called matter. And Buddha demonstrated that. He created a whole level, actually. That's why people are, this is where they're going to when they leave the body. He created a separate universe, the Buddhaverse, literally. So he's created the actual Buddhaverse, and he actually showed them, and he was actually creating, manifesting, pulling down things, creating, like literally, in front of people, thousands of witnesses, and it's documented. So there we are. This woman was the same thing, and it was shown to this one as well. This is where the mistake comes from here. You are believing I am this, and there's my higher self and source. So there's a separate, you are doing it because you are still boarding into the belief that I'm separate. There's no separation, they keep telling you that. So because you're doing that, you're thinking you are communicating with the wind. I'm tapping into so-and-so, I'm reading this Akashic, I'm doing that. No. This is, how do you think you can become one? Those that do this shamanism, how do you think you can become, you can do it, you can drop into other beings. How can you see them, read them, you're reading a field, what they want, how can you, as I say, become one? I don't know who's experienced it, become the wind, drop into other beings on other planets, go here, do there, why? Because there's no separation, not because you are. If you were separate, you would not be able to become the wind, experience being the wind, experience doing this. This is where the illusion is. That you are not the field. There's only the field. You are that. This is how you can read, go to see a future, so-called future, past, all that. As I said, when you realize, when you claim it, and as the Godhead, I could literally, and I did it, I demonstrated it on video, I was channeling and talking, I did it on Facebook. You could literally drop into anything. So it's like, okay, so you are aware, and as you created a new thing, you could actually see it pop up. So the minute, let's say, this character decided to start playing, poof, the bubble appeared around it. So while you as the Godhead, you could see all these stories going on. And as one so-called, the character die, which doesn't, the bubble just pops and poof, they become one again in the Godhead, the nothingness. But when they're in the character, you could see these bubbles popping up, like literally, poof, okay, that one's starting its dream. You can see it. It's available to you, but it depends on where you are believing. You see, as the one, you need to claim it. Whatever you claim, because you're creating your reality, is your truth. So if you say, I am so-and-so David, and God is my higher self, and the angel, and I've got to go through him and that, you're creating it all. But when you claim I am that, different story. You see, you're going to be tested. You are to stick with it. When you claim that, that's it. Then you're able to see. This is the only reason why people think there's all this separate world. There's nothing. And this is why even science can't understand, as I say, everything was created from nothing. Well, if you listen to the teachings, yeah, it's actually freaky going. It's like, no, I don't want to be stuck in there, because you realize they're stuck in a bubble, and it's so dense when you drop into so-called a character, yeah, and their little world, and exactly that was an eye-opener. Yeah, I also freaked. Yeah, you will freak out, because exactly, you're going to process a lot, because the story was so real, it shocks you. I mean, it's all exciting, and then the fear. It's like, wow. I mean, you think you're going to disappear, and it takes some processing out. Because you're so identified with this, you think you're going to die or disappear. What's going to happen to me? It takes a long time to dissolve this me idea, and it's when you realize it's only a thought, and all these thoughts are just floating in nothing. There's not your brain. You don't even have a brain. You don't have anything. There's no you. It's absolutely fabricated. The person is only an idea. That's it. It creates it. But anyway, this is we limiting ourselves. So, as you know, you create your own reality. No lie. Whatever you think yourself to be or believe, exactly where you are. When you realize I'm the Godhead, now you can understand how they say, how Bashar can even see. Now you understand when people say to Bashar, oh, what's my frequency and how many beliefs do I have? When you're in that claimed I am the Godhead, you can literally see everybody's shopping list. You know, whatever they want, and it's everything. You see how we can do it now? When people go to Bashar and say, oh, well, what's my frequency and how many negative beliefs? And he'll tell you, oh, you've got 2,000, so and so and so. And people are like, because Bashar and those others, many have reached that, even some Buddhas can do, but they just don't tell you. They can read, they can see everything, all your thoughts, your beliefs, your shit, your nonsense, because they realize you are just it's a character you're playing. It's an illusionary thing. It's all it are is thoughts created in a bubble. It's a energy bubble you've created because you've focused your attention on a zero into this little concentrated person. How do you think you feel a field around you? Everyone thinks, oh, this is my field, my Torah. Don't get excited about that. That's the box you're in. You've created yourself. You've densified yourself into a little ball of dense energy, separate from, you think you are separate from everything around you. But there's no separation because there's no time and space. There's nothingness. So it's your belief. And when you drop into that little bubble of someone, as you'll see, poof, what you think around you, this is created, it pops up and you can see everything. This is how they do it, you see. Because they say you are God dreaming. They're telling you. There's only one here. There's only oneness. The Buddhas will tell you this. If you listen to them, you'll realize Bashar, this other lady, everyone is telling you the same thing, but at a different level, depending on where they reached perspective and dimensional. Their density is much higher, you see, so they have a much more advanced. They've been in nothingness for a lot longer. They know it's just not nothing. But most people are waking up into the nothingness, into the oneness, and just thinking, oh, well, there we are. And they're just doing, and the body's just carrying on, and I'm just going to sit here and do it because they don't realize, as I said, there's nothing. So because they think there's nothing, they don't realize that is you. There's a next level they've got to get to. That nothingness is you. Yeah, is you. And you are not just some useless. Everything that you see outside there, that was created from, as I tell you, nothing. You are creating everything from nothing, and they will tell you that. You see, then they learn to enjoy it and play. They stay in the character because they're able to, let's say, they are aware this is only a character because they've got this experience. They're seeing the reality because they've claimed their so-called God, right? They are the one, as I tell you. They're in that level of consciousness. So now they're enjoying life because they realize I am creating it. Where a lot of people are, it's falling away and they're just sitting there and saying, oh, there's nothing. There's nothing. Yeah, and there's no one. Yes, there's nothing and no one, being everything, but it is apparent appearing. It is coming out of nothing. You've got to understand that nothing, as they say, the universe, you are it. You are existence itself. And you are creating everything that's coming out of the nothing. But if you're sitting in nothing and just saying, oh, well, then all that's going to carry on is where it's the world that's going to appear around you is whatever thoughts and beliefs you held before it fell away, that's it. The world is going to, this is the world you're going to see. You see? Because you are not putting any more creation or thought or thing into it. Because you think you can't. Because you think, well, there's no one here. You're still identifying. You can't do anything because there's no person. And they've learnt, they are creating, and Bashar, interesting things. Little things he tells you, but it depends when you're ready to hear it. You see, if you're not, it's just like, oh well, it's a story. It seems so out there because the frequency and vibration is so different depending on where you are on your level of consciousness or awareness, right? Bashar, people asked him, what do you do for your spare time? And what does he say? He makes art out of nothing, out of energy. Because they realize this is how everything is created out of nothing. So Bashar sits on his ship and creates art in the ethereal out of nothing and manifests it. Because they realize, I am that. Your world is being created out of nothing. The science will even tell you that, holographic universe. And they say, well, they can't, the Big Bang, but they can't see where it comes from. So everything exploded, there was a speck, right? And then poof, it went into, they can't understand, well, how did the speck get there? The Buddhists will tell you. When you get into nothing, it's always been there. And if you ask the source itself, and you're shown, I did, and it was shown to you. Why? Because that was it. Could you imagine you are nothing? And this is what was shown to me a long time ago. I asked, why are we doing this? Why are we, because you didn't realize who you were in the first place then at all. You thought you were this, and I was asking source. So I wanted to know why we kept conating them, so-called, you think you're conating, because that was where my level was. So I asked, why? What I was shown, when you ask a silly question, you get a silly answer. There was nothing as source. You just saw this field, infinite field of light, the divine, right? And that was it. Could you imagine? If you're the only thing that existed, so there was like a thought, you were just awareness. You were this empty, there was this white, like say, can you imagine a white cloud? And there is nothing. Gets kind of lonely, right? Exactly. So somehow, and I channeled this out, it's on my YouTube page, going back into time, as I say, the ancient one, there was one, exactly, as science is trying to understand how it went boom. And I explained it, but I don't know how to explain it. And there was this like, poof, and then there were two, that's the consciousness. Then there was like this, like, as I say, what they think is a big bang, this light come boom, and this is how it, anyway, it's explained on my channel, God before time and space. No one can tell you that. Because the one, when you're in that one, it doesn't, it's always been there. It just is, and nobody knows, and it doesn't know, because it was only you, and it was just, you were just there. And there's no such thing as time and space, as it says, it's just there. Because it's, never mind, it's no time and space that explains it. So yeah, it's, what's holding you down is your belief, which is only a program. This is a program you're running that you are a person. It's a program, like any other program when you do healing and clearing. This is a program. The most, as I tell you in the Buddhist thing, it's the most, I mean it is, it's one of the most hold on to programs, beliefs, definitions that I am a separate person and I'm a human and I've got a life. This is a program, huge program you're running and hanging on to. That is the personality structure, filter, bubble that you're in. And it is a bubble, as Bashar says, and you can see it yourself, but you have to know yeah. Well, no, not really. You've got to be careful of anything. You're choosing. It's just thoughts. It's just an illusion. You say it's story. When you realize you don't attach to them, because they're not your thoughts. You see, there's another thing. They're not yours. You don't have any thoughts. Thoughts belong to no one, because there isn't any one. This is part of the belief that you're a separate one. The thoughts, it's just in the field. Everything's in the field. You're just shopping. This is where the problem is. We believe it's my emotions, my thoughts. No, nothing is. There's no you in the first place. There's only nothingness. There's a fictional character, but absolute program. It's a program. Serious program. It's a belief, thought, yeah. It really is. I'm not joking. And they'll tell you that. And they're telling people. And initially when you listen to the non-duality, people you get upset and you can't understand it. You got to listen and listen, and eventually it sinks in. Because it's energetic, as they say. Because the I, fake I, doesn't exist. And it can't accept it. It doesn't know that it doesn't exist because it doesn't. The you is only a thought. Literally, everyone knows the infinite field source is nothingness, right? That people know. Science will tell you there's nothing, no matter. Right. Everything's coming out of the nothing, no matter. If you listen to them, they explain it, but you can't grasp it. Why? Because this is how source creates its game. Source sits there, I am, and it projects from nothing. It focuses energy. It's a thought. That's all it is. It's a thought because there's no matter. So source, as a thought, it projects, I am this, and it puts its focus on it, like anything, when you're tapping into someone, you're moving to a dimension, you're trying to remote view or something, what are you doing? You're putting your focus on something. You become that. You move to that. That's exactly how you think you are created. Oh, it's very funny when you realize it. So that's exactly it. And because you do it, and what you've done is focus, and it's so funny when you see it, it's concentrated its energy, and poof, this bubble, which you think is your Taurus field, is your whole world, your illusionary holographic universe, your story, the world which you think is out there, which people tell you it's nothing. It's not. But when you see it from the one, it's appearing within you. And then you can move to all stories and see them all. Because you are then taking the claiming I am. Whatever you claim is you, because it's only you. So when you claim yourself as reality itself, you are able to then see all, as Buddha could, all so-called dimensions. And Buddha, I'll share it with you. If you listen to that thing that talk about Buddha, when he created the Buddha, it's amazing. He actually created an entire dimension. And when he explains it and shows it, and it was documented by thousands and witnessed by thousands of people, then you will see. And that's how that other Isaiah that disappeared into nothing, and that was documented. He went out and told people to watch, and he disappeared into the light. Poof. Because he realized, I am it. He dissolved his bubble. He raised his frequency. He disappeared out of this dimension. Because you can increase your light. When you understand and accept, there is only you. And whatever you claim, not you as a person though, this is where a lot of people, when they see you, you will actually see a person in your mind's eye, because this is the program. It's not an easy program to overcome. Well, it is actually. It's just a thought. When you realize you are nothing. Imagined, as I tell you, absolutely. What you actually exist of is a thought. That's it. And then because you think, I am this, I am a person, all those thoughts, this is why you tend to, the energy, my this, my blah, blah, blah. There's no you, this, and they'll tell you, everyone tells you, there's no separate you. You are God dreaming. That is it. And that woman yesterday, funny enough, when she was, it was an interesting interview when she was saying, and a lot of egos will get, because a lot of these fake eyes will get very offended, or what you mean humanity, you know, because we're so advanced, we look, you see, no you're not, because you believe you're still, we are far from, as I tell you, they're very primitive, because you still believe you're people. You're in the illusion, big time. When they say there's only the field, everything is being created. They are doing that already. They are creating from the field. And this is why they say there's infinite universes, infinite parallel realities. Absolutely. Because what you don't realize is you are in your own universe. This bubble, this world is literally you. So there's tons of them. Different perspectives, different, I know it's so funny when you realize it. Yeah, it's amazing. It's incredible. So then, while you're still in a body though, so-called in a body in the Maya, like they'll tell you, it falls away, but you still can use this depending on your level. But there is no body either. But anyway, this is how they are when they've got to that level. They are able to move from this parallel realities into yours, into different dimensions. You see? Big time. Where we are thinking we can only find our, now we realize it's fourth dimension. But we're not, how come humans, so-called, you see, you can't move, you can't see other dimensions and parallel realities and universes and move to them and travel to them or anything. No. No wonder about it. Because they're still in the fact that there's a real world out there we're trying to find. You see, they're still looking in the illusion for the truth. And you can't find it in the illusion. First of all, because they haven't realized they are, created illusion. But when you claim who you are, then you're able to manipulate the illusion like they are, to bend time, to manipulate reality. As Buddha just demonstrated, that's when people will believe it. When they see you actually bending what they think is reality out there, then people are like, holy shit. You see, they could manifest and create things. Literally. This is what they are doing, the ETs. Moving planets. And people are like, oh, gee, they're so, because that's it. You are that. You can do anything. It's amazing. And that came to me. I was laughing to that. I was like, oh my gosh, exactly. And then I realized where the stuckness was coming. So when the so-called fake, the illusionary self falls away, there's only nothing. You perceive yourself as nothing. You perceive yourself as the infinite field, and you see that. And there is nothing, and everything's just moving in it and everything else. But then you also, as I say, you realize you can still perceive the normal world and things as well, but you perceive it very differently. But what you don't realize is you can manipulate that. Because there's no one, and if you've identified with a nothing, you think nothing can do nothing. Without realizing, well, if nothing can do nothing, it doesn't matter anyway. Just say it depends on where you have claimed what you are. Buddha knew that I am reality, so I can move it and bend it, because he's still aware. But when you think, oh well, there's no me, so I can't do anything anymore. You see, there's no, it's just a perspective. It's just a perspective. Level of awareness, and as you'll see by what Bashar is telling you, they have a very different level of awareness, because they know there's no time and space, as they'll even tell you. But they've learned, as I say, once they realize what they are, then they can manipulate reality, as the Buddha did, one of the last people. And that's where those snow lotuses come from. They manifested that, all kinds of things people can see. There's no matter. That's how you've got footprints in rocks. You see, they could manipulate what you believe is matter, because they are the matter. There's the only matter that exists is the nothingness. You see, amazing. So what I'll do is I'll share those links, so you can then, when you see, it's like putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and you're like, oh my gosh, you realize, bing, 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 bing. Because I've been, as I say, on this path, and then you're listening to this non-duality, and I listen to all. So I'm listening to the newly awakened ones who say there's nothing, no one, nothing, freaking a lot of people out. And then you're listening to the ones that are doing it, say, like Ramana Maharshi or whatever, from that side. And they're saying the same thing, but a different way of doing it. You see, they're saying, yes, you can, You see, that's what I'm saying. Yes, you can get there, the real you, the one that is actually here. It's just because you identify with this, you see, people, this you can't get there. It doesn't exist. You've got to accept the fact and realize, I exist, but not as a body. I exist, the infinite field. And when you claim, whatever you claim to be, it will be. So you've got to start claiming it, and the brain's going to say, no shit, because that as I say, like any program you try and clear, right? Anyone knows, stop something, stop smoking. That program is so entrenched. So when you try and do this, you're going to get a huge resistance from the body and fear, all subconscious fears, programs, beliefs. I'm going to die. Trust me, we've all worked through them. If you're on this path, these things come up. So there's that's got to be cleared, you see, because they're all beliefs, fears, perspectives. Huge thing. You've got to clear. There's a lot of. It will push up a lot. Ah, okay, you're welcome. Yeah, are you dealing with it? Yeah, it's quite difficult. I mean, this body, it got to such a point, and as I say, I was shown, wow, I say the whole thing fell away, and there I was, and exactly in the infinite field, and literally my room, everything was, you in it, everything was around you. It was like, wow. And then there was this bright light, and you realized you were going to move into another dimension, or another, what you thought. So, or what you want to say here, as they call God, paradise, everything's here now. So I literally, you see, this is because the program was so strong. You thought immediately as this thing appeared and realized I was going to disappear into this, there was this like this, and the fear kicked in, and I was like, no, I don't want to go anywhere. You see, because the program was so strong that this was going to die, and the fear. See, because you still believe you are a person and you can die. You see, you're so identified with this. So the minute that happened, I pulled back. The program kicked in, and there was a fear. Okay, I am going to vanish, but you are not here in the first place. So a lot had to be processed. Yeah, wow. A lot came up, a lot of reaction, a lot of shadow. So all of these, like any program, has to be worked through. All of the fears, all of the illusions, you have to slowly be released. And it does. The self knows. Each one is different. So each one, depending on the fear, depending on whatever's held in the body and the programs and beliefs, this is what the so-called thing, will be worked through, depending on you. It's how slowly, because if it's too much, it's going to slowly now let you, so just be patient. Yes, a lot's been coming. But be patient, because the self is only love. It knows. It is only the self here. It knows it. And it knows. So it's going to take you on the best path. It'll very gently, like this one, okay, we're going to slowly deal with, each one. So slowly each fear and each thing will be removed, and you're slowly, see. There was a huge amount that came up after that. I mean, it went straight back. The fake I, the mind, became overactive. So there was this massive kickback from the program, and the mind then went into overdrive and everything. So there was this, wow. You go through a lot of oscillation, yeah. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It was like this. It was trying to, as you got, then it was like, no, we're not. It tried to, it's like a fight back. Yes, are you? Exactly, you see. The program kicks in, the mind's like, no. And then it'll try and distract you and get overactive, but it's just a program. You see, it's just, the belief is there, and so you ignore the energy, just relax. Just know it's okay. And just gonna each one dissolve, relax. Yeah, it's fun here. Wow, massive. Because literally this one in its program believed it was going to vanish into, like, physically, like disappear into another dimension, which as I did. It was no joke. But so I thought, oh my gosh, but what about it? You see, you still hadn't worked through. You were shown reality, but the program was still very strong. So the program was, oh my gosh, my kids? I'm just going to vanish, and I can't leave everybody, because you see. You've got to work through the belief. The program is still so strong that the world is real out there. People are real out there. You see. So it was like, I can't, so then it was like, no, I can't go with that. It's work, eh? Wow. But when you see it, and as I say, it is incredible. Wow, and you relax, because that stage, as you guided, and you were guided through it was so amazing. So you relaxed, and you were like, oh my gosh, and you were so in love with the self, because you realize what you are is so amazing, so magnificent, and you look out, and everything out there, you were creating it. It's fucking awesome. So everything was great until the part, as I say, when this light came out and you realized, because you'd got that, now you were going to vanish. And because of the program and the stories, you didn't know where you were going, because you believed what you were going to disappear into. So you thought the whole body and everything was going to disappear into something, nothing, or wherever. I don't know, haven't a clue. So that was immediately like a, the program kicked in, and it was like, no, we're not ready now to, you see, whatever. Yeah, you don't realize. But when it takes, so don't worry, the self will guide the self. There's only one here. But we just got to keep reminding the program, just remind there is no one. So watch the thoughts even, because, you drop into it's me. No. Doesn't matter what you are perceiving now, even in the body. Just remember there's only one. It still is the only source playing. It's the one pretending to be the one. It's still only one. Just because, you see, this is where people get stuck. There's only God here. There's only the source, the one, the infinite here. Just because you're perceiving yourself as someone doesn't mean you are a separate someone, you see. This is where the mistake comes. Because I can see this person, I think, okay, that is there, that one is real. No, it's still only God. It's just a name, it's a label, it's God now. It doesn't mean because you say this, it's a thought, because a thought or a word of Susan, just because there's a word, that is there. No, that is just a name, that's just a word. It's still only God. Doesn't mean because it's a fabrication. Who's Susan? Nothing. It's a name. It's just a word. There is no Susan. You see, there is no anybody. There's only God here. This is the difference. There's only source. Yeah, that is just a name. It's thumbsucked. It's just exactly. It doesn't mean because it's a name that thing exists, or no, there's only God. It doesn't change the fact that there's only source here just because it's got another name, but it's still the source playing Susan, source playing. You see, this is where the misidentification comes from. It's source playing, pretending to be that one. So now people think, okay, I'm real because source is pretending to be me. No, I'm still source pretending to be somebody. There isn't. You see, that's the difference. This is where you are getting stuck. You are keeping the separation there because you are believing that name, that separate one is actually there. No, you're not. There's no separate one. There's no separation. There's only the one. Pretending to be. Pretending is the right word. It's a complete bullshit. It doesn't exist. But you can still have life. This is where people think everything's going to come to an end. This is where they're getting stuck. This is where the non-dual, the new ones, are getting unstuck. Oh, well, everything stops now. The world is just, and there's nothing. Blah, blah, blah. No, you're going to have lots of fun like the ETs are doing. Yeah. Yeah. And you. And it's so funny when you realize it's only you. It's always only you getting stuck. When you're on this process, awakening process, and even when you believe in your separate I, you know it's all a process, and everything, any blocks, everything has only ever been you that put them there. Same thing, you see. When you realize listening to them, no, nothing can be lots of fucking fun. You can create it a whole new level. It's not like, oh, well, the body's just going to go on, and there's no. Listen to other people. It depends on the perspective you take. When you take it as I am that, the only one, you will see all, as I did, as everyone is you. You realize it's all you. Everything is you. This is made from you. There's no separation. Yeah, but anyway. So, yeah, the thought, the people, they must understand that they are only a thought that they are believing in. That's all. You, like any program, is just a belief. It's a program, it's a belief, it's a thought. That's it. Like any other program and belief and thought, you can change it. But that one is, as I say, very well entrenched. You see? And as long as you hang on to it, you cannot perceive the real or the reality, the infinite field. But now you can understand how you can communicate and astral and perceive other things. Why? Because there is no separation. Because you, the one, are... Because if there was actual separate beings and things, how would you be able to drop into them? They're separate from you. Just, how can you drop into them? No. There's nothing. There's one. You're just moving your perspective from this one to that one. That's all. As the infinite one. And when you go to the infinite one, and you will actually see, and you reside as the one, you will actually then perceive within yourself. You can do this. You can maybe even do it for meditation, right? Go get yourself as you, but they say it's practice. Get yourself as the one and the whole complete mind of the one, right? Of the source. You sit in the mind of. You'll get there. If you really put your mind to it for 2 weeks of serious meditation and not moving it, and you're going to have a lot of kickback from the program, you'll get a breakthrough. And then you'll start, but you just got to like not give a no. You're not accepting. You are that. No matter what the little yaka says. I am that. You don't accept any other thought or belief that you are anything else but the one. The infinite oneness, that whole, you see? Not this ego. No, there's no two. Do not, you see, that, but it's going to take some fight. You will get there. And then when you sit in the mind of the one, you will see it all. Because now you've said, okay, I am that now, and everything, and you actually see it. You can actually see them, and you can see all the different, and then, okay, there's this story, that those are energies. There's like three, say, make up the sun, they're playing sun, and this one's playing that, and planets, and there's all this shit going on within. So they're just stories within the one. And that's where they talk about the infinite universes, parallel realities and fields within the one. But this is what that woman, when I heard her talk yesterday, and I was like, yes, that was the final, I get it. When they were saying humans are so primitive, and everything is infinite amount of fields, parallel realities, everything's been created from nothing. It's all within the field. And I was like, yes, that is it. You see, if you really understand how reality really works, and then you'll be able to make chances. When you realize everything is only one infinite nothingness field of energy, and when you accept that as a truth, that perspective, you will be able then to understand how and perceive how reality really works. Then you're going to start making headway in science and everything. Then you want to see this planet come out of seriously. To them, we're in the Stone Ages. Literally, I laughed when I heard her yesterday, and I thought, there's going to be a lot of very offended people, especially in the ego, when they think, oh no, look, because they're in the ego. See, that's only a program. It's it's because they don't. It's ego. It's like, oh no, of course we're not. Look at all our weapons. Look how wonderfully and strong and everything we are. Completely illusional. There's not even a you. And that's why you're stuck. This is why you've been stuck for thousands of years and haven't progressed very far. Because you're living in the illusion. And you don't even exist. It's so funny. Sorry. But when you realize, it's so funny. It is so funny. It really is. But it's fun. And when I listened to her yesterday, I thought, yes, going to be a lot of angry people that are not going to want to hear what she's going to say. What do they see as us? Very primitive. And I'm like, and I was like, and that's all you see. When you're saying everything is separate, you can't understand. This is why they're trying to. You cannot understand when they talk about infinite parallel realities and fields and universes, and you're like, how many universes? You see, because you're still saying everything is separate because you perceive yourself as separate. But when you realize everything's within the field and you see it, you understand how easy it is. You see? And exactly, it's just different frequencies. But what people are realize, this is another stuck thing in the awakened the the body needs to change frequency, because you see, this is the same thing. The more frequency I raise. So people are trying to raise the frequency vibration of the body. No. Bashar will tell you what creates reality. The consciousness, your level of consciousness determines the frequency and vibration. Not the body determines the consciousness's frequency and vibration. The consciousness, the awareness, what level of awareness determines the frequency and vibration of the self, because it's a fake body in the first place. Everything's not even real. That's how you're shifting. Your consciousness is the only thing that's shifting through parallel realities. This is how I said you change bodies, you become a new person all the time. When you so believed in a separate self, you believe you've got to raise the frequency and vibration of the body to get to another parallel reality. No, you're not even there. You are the infinite field. Sorry. When you realize how you got it wrong, how backwards, then you understand. You see? So people are running around trying to raise the frequency and vibration of the body, of the separate self. That's not going to get you anywhere. Because you're still stuck. You see, you are still stuck within the bubble of the separate self. You see, you are still stuck in the maya, in the illusion, in the constricted energy of the one, of the little bubble inside source. Not that I am source, the infinite field. You've got to drop the bubble. So all you're doing is sitting to raise my frequency and vibration to ascend as me. People are trying to get this. They believe the person my body needs to rise. I'm the person. I'm going to ascend. No. Drop the you. So how, as he says, the level of awareness, the frequency and vibration, the level of consciousness determines the frequency and vibration. So you're going to get it here, not in the mind. And when I say here, people straight away think my brain, my mind. Yeah, the understanding, the knowing, the perception, but that starts with that. But just forget about the illusion, forget about the self. Because this is right, the program is so strong. When you think of the mind, the thoughts, you still think of my as the person, a separate person with the brain and thoughts. No, 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 no. The real you. The real you is the only one here, always. Okay. So just always know, I'm here. It doesn't matter what you think was appearing in front of you. That's bollocks. Just think, this is just bollocks. It's a projection. So even if you see a person, a separate person here, it doesn't mean you have to believe in it. It's just a projection. Ignore the fact that this thing is here. It's a lot of bollocks. You see, it's still God. It's still source. You are still that. That one is the one. Doesn't change it because you can see, you perceive a person there. No, 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 no. You got to get past that one. So that's how, you see. Oh, that's how. This is where I'm laughing when I realize, oh my gosh, we're sitting here trying to raise you see, trying to raise my frequency and vibration to ascend. Da, 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 da. No, there's no you. The awareness, the real consciousness, that's the one who's listening. When that one wakes up, that's going to shift. That shifts. And this is why sharing, and this is why Bashar is talking. Because when you raise the awareness, not of the person, of the consciousness, which is on a planet, you will rise up. But people still think me, my character, my body, that's the one who's going to ascend and move down. No, 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 no. Forget about that one. It doesn't even exist. You're just changing perspectives. You don't change bodies. There's no bodies. They are holographic projections. That's why they say there's no death and by birth. They'll tell you that when they get to the level. There's no death and birth. You don't die. That's also an illusion. That's part of the story. It's near death, and I've been through near death. Near death and all these things are part of the story. They're in the story still. When you still believe you're a body, when you haven't dropped it, and you do die, which this one did, guess what happens? You will experience dying, the body dying, and I'm going to create. But when you do that, which I also thought back and realized when I did that and who was watching, I realized the perspective of what I was seeing was not being seen from the so-called soul anyway either. You see, when you still see yourself as a separate body, guess what? You're going to imagine a separate soul, a separate thing as well that dies and reincarnates. No. And then I realized when I saw myself and I died and I was watching everything from source going on down here and all that stuff, guess what? Afterwards I thought back and I thought, guess who was watching the soul looking down at earth? The perspective that this one was perceiving was not through the eyes of the so-called one that had died, the separate soul. From the perspective that it was seeing was from here, watching this so-called believed soul looking down at everyone on earth and, Then you realize, who was watching me? Yes. You see, there is never a you. That's the difference. Because I believed when I died, well, obviously, that I was a soul, I was a separate person. So, of course, when I died, I've got a separate soul, and I'm going to go and reincarnate. And that's just the story. This is how you've stayed in a reincarnation cycle. Nonsense. People say, oh, the reincarnation trap. No, you are trapping yourself. Because you've been stuck in your box, you keep reincarnating back. You make another story, into the same box because you haven't cleared one. See? Amazing. Anyway, there we are. This had to come out. I'm glad it did. And I'll share. I have to look it up now. I shared it a while ago and it was an amazing lecture. So I'll look up this lady and I'll share her name because she's sharing some very high. Bashar, if you listen to Bashar carefully, he shares pointers. And he literally tells you the truth. The Buddhas have been telling you people are falling away. But there have just been no one for a lot longer. As they say, when they woke up to realize now they know how, once they realize what they are, they could manipulate, as they say, reality, so-called. They can manipulate things. But those that are waking up now have lost their body and, there's nothing, they haven't got to that level when they realized, hang on a second. You see, like Buddha did. I am reality itself, which they say there's nothing, there's no one here. That is you. You are the nothing. That's it. But when you claim you are the nothing and creating everything, as I said, it will be shown to you. And I was like, hey, it was a little bit more than this one was ready for, especially when the tree hugged me. And I was like, yeah, that's a little bit too freaky for me, for the me, you see, because that was very freaky, very freaky. I was like, okay, because you were so happy and on such a high and so, wow, my gosh. And I was walking and I knew, and everything. And you realize I'm creating it all and it's all me. And I accepted that. So when I walked past, she stood on there high, and they literally put its branch down like this and put its leaf down. I was like, fuck no, okay, that's enough. Enough now. No more. You see, it's a program. A lot we have to dissolve, the bullshit. And when you understand also the thoughts, when you understand, there's no you do not have a mind, there's another thing. There's not your thoughts, your brain. Forget about, that's what I say. This is all part of the separate bullshit self. You don't have a body, a brain, or thoughts. You are a thought itself. Then the thoughts will also not bother you. You see? Because when you realize, if you've accepted the fact that there's nothing, then you will also realize those thoughts are just there. This is how the Maya is created. You create your story. You pick your thoughts, as Bashar says. Most people are at the level where I create my own reality. Dr. Joe Dispenza's choosing it, but they're still doing it you see, they still believe that they're the body. So you're limited in power. You're limiting yourself. Because you're saying, I am creating it as a person. So you're saying that because, but no, it's source. This is just, source is the one who's doing it. As you realize you don't have any power, so I've got to ask my higher self. You don't. Source is doing it. Just because source is named, you've chosen a name as Mary, Joe, Soap, whatever, doesn't mean it's bloody real. No. That's the thing. You see, how the reality is created is that the thought, the I thought, which doesn't exist, is just, or even if you drop the I thought, you're getting far further like they have. Now you can really work with reality. But the I thought, you are picking thoughts. That's what they say. As he says, choose positive thoughts. Don't choose negative thoughts, because what you believe, definitions, this is it. It's thoughts. You are creating reality now, that they're not your thoughts. So you've got this infinite field. When you realize you're only the infinite field and all there are thoughts floating around in the field, you are picking thoughts. Oh, okay, I'm going to create that truth, that reality. That's what they say. You can create a shitty one and a negative one. But when you realize what the problem is here, yes, you create your reality, but as the one. Not as a separate person. The separate person is a program, is a thought, absolute thought, which you do not exist besides as a thought. So as long as you accept the fact that, yes, I'm creating reality as the one infinite field, by choosing thoughts, and the thought of being a separate one is a thought as well. That's it. That's simple as that. It's amazing. Freaking amazing. Anyway, I thought I'd share that excitement with you, because that piece of puzzle dropped in. This body was woken up, a lot of downloads coming in last night, plenty. Lots of dreaming going on and all kinds of things going on. So it was to ground this information, because obviously the penny dropped. But listening to that woman last night, the penny dropped. And I was like, that's where the disconnect is coming from. Because as far as this planet goes, the level of consciousness was stuck here. That's why they're bringing in new information to raise the consciousness. So when you became nothing, there was just nothing. That's it. They're still not, some of them knew they were nothing, and they said that is the true self. But it is nothing. But not realizing, yes, the true self is you are creating the entire world out of nothing by choosing thoughts from the field. So that is what you call manifesting in the matter. But most people just realize they just rested in the nothingness, not realizing the nothingness is still creating. You can still carry on creating, which they have. This is the information they're bringing to Earth, or so-called Earth, into the story, Bashar and this lady, of channeling higher information. So we can actually move out of one dimension, so-called Earth parallel. We can start being multidimensional. You see, get out of our box. Your box is your Taurus field, the separate self. Now you can then start really manipulating reality matter, universes, timelines, creation, as Buddha demonstrated. So I'm going to upload this to my YouTube channel. You'll find the link if you don't know it. Hi, you're going to find the link on my TikTok page. But it'll take a while to upload. And then I'm going to look for those examples and I'm going to post them. So if you go to my YouTube page, here's proof that will really help you if you listen to this. And you'll be like, oh, wow. So pay attention to these and you'll see, you'll put the dots together. I'm going to share the link to this lady. And I think I can find the one video, but she's got many. You can choose your own. This is how you're creating your own. Not everyone's going to choose the same story. You're not going to resonate with everything anyone or these characters are saying, because they're just different perspectives. It's sources. They're out there for a reason, to give you a choice as the one to just choose. What story do I want to create? What reality what game do I want to play? As the one, you are choosing. This is why it's dropping in different perspectives. Which game you want to play? That's what it is. So you won't resonate with everyone because you're now deciding. This is part of the shift. We're deciding what reality, what game we want to create. You see, the new version, whatever. So her Bashar and this Buddha verse, when Buddha created, is incredible. That lecture. I'll find that. It was at some Buddhist society shared the talk. Fascinating, absolutely. Yeah, it was an amazing talk. I was like, wow. So that's very few humans in the game of Earth had reached that. There's no documented stories of that, that demonstrated that level of control over reality. This is thousands of years ago, yeah. Oh, welcome. Yes, I've been, as I say, I've been off a bit because I'm doing this, because at the part of the non-duality is another thing. If you listen to Rupert Spira, will say, the more you focus on this loves, the fake I, the more you feed it, the more you focus on it, the more it just gets stronger. So staying off social media was one of the things you were guided to. Why? Because you don't want to strengthen you see, it looks at it and it sees itself and, ooh, look there. See, you see what I mean? It strengthens the belief in the fake bullshit. So you've got to learn to see the reflection of the so-called nonsense that's here as a lot of bollocks. You know it's a holographic projection. You know it's not real. I still know that this is the only source here. I don't care what appears in front of me. I see this person with it was given a name, the body. The body has a name in the story, but it sure ain't you. That I know. You see? So it takes some work, yeah. So I'm balancing that. You don't want to spend too much time getting this too busy. Talking, as we know, if you've done this, you'll know it speeds up the thoughts are talking. The more you stay out of the conscious mind, the better. So this is why, because I was on the non-dual path, I was quite a while. I was guided to stay the hell off social media and just meditate. You needed to quieten everything, the energy, and bring everything down to that level so you can perceive the truth. This is why they meditated so much. So I sat and I stopped all media, as I said, and I would not accept any thought that said you were not the one. And I just sat and I meditated, and I was basically never in the mind. I was out of the body all the time, really. And that's how I managed to see everything and be, get there. Because I realized, as I was shown to me, all the work and this was only strengthening the fake I, you see. Because I was on the awakened path as a light worker. I was, you see, there was such a strong, and it was strengthening the illusionary self. It was building up its ego. Ooh, I'm so wonderful. Look at I can do. You see what I mean? It was strengthening this nonsense, that belief in the separate self, that it was doing something in the body, and it was absolutely. So that was like, uh-oh. So it was actually sabotaging the attempt to go higher. Yes, exactly. There we are. This is why I wasn't active for quite a long time in social media. Is because of that. I wanted to get that. When you realize the thoughts, and you can feel it. When the mind starts thinking, you will feel the energy in the so-called body, which is not. You must remember, you're the only thing. Get faster. It builds up speed. And the Maya, the projection, is created through light. It's reflected. So the more you speed up the energy, which is the thought, whatever, any thought emotions, This is what creates the illusion. It's created through light. So it's the light, the shadow. I explained it in one of my pages. I channeled this as well. How consciousness creates the Maya, is the light is reflected from the shadow, the darkness. So the more you think, the more you talk, the more energy you're putting out there, the faster the energy, you'll feel it in the body. So it takes a while to really still, that's what they say, to calm the body and mind till you get the energy to that still point where there's no movement. Then the reality, the illusion starts falling away. Why? Because you've slowed the thing down to almost nothingness, and the illusion starts falling away, and you realize, oh, well, there's the Maya they're talking about. But the more you talk, the think, especially the conscious mind, the energy is just getting so fast, and that is how the light, it's light that's doing this, that's creating the Maya. As you slow everything down, and reality will start becoming, or the illusion will start falling away around you, and you will see that it's created by light. So the more you stimulate the mind with energy, the faster the light moves and creates the illusionary picture or the holograph around you. It's like having these goggles on. It's like putting those on. So if you can get all the mind, the energy in the body, as I say, it's meditation, sit down as much as you can, meditate all day, every day, as much, and just sit in quietness, and then you will start seeing how it's light. This is what's creating that. It's like movies are a great example. The movie, there's no movie, but it's projected onto a screen, but from nothing. It's light. Look at a movie. It's a great example, right? How did they create that? This is exactly how your world is created, by light. So if you look at a movie projector, it's coming through nothing, this thing, and it's projecting light onto the screen, but if people appear, everything appears. That's exactly what's happening here. But it's being done through thought. So the more words, this is why they say, don't talk. And it's also just words. The words are purely nothing. There's nothing creating everything. So the words, you are creating, this is how you're creating shit, sorry. But I'm not being shit, but I'm saying shit as in a table and things. You're naming it a table. There is only nothing. There's an infinite field. By choosing, this is what they say, words create spells. By choosing words, you are imagining, oh, okay, I'm going to call that a table. I'm making it a table. You see, but there's no thing. They all just labels, names. There's nothing. So if you stop the illusionary using words, and you don't know what it is. You're deciding, oh, I'm going to call that a tree, but there is nothing. You see, when you accept stop, there's no words. Don't just forget about all you know. There's nothing. Just forget about it and realize you are only, you actually don't know what anything is. Drop it. Drop all the words and the labels and as I say, concepts. Quieten, you still your energy. You'll feel it in the body and in the mind. When you stop listening to anything, stop all media or news, talking, just really go within. Go on a 20-day meditation or lock yourself in your room for 40 days, who knows. But cut any reaction from the outside. Anything that's going to stimulate the senses, the mind, the thoughts, and then you will see. Ooh, reality is not what I perceive as they've been telling you, and you will see, no, it's not. Because you need to. Okay, stop this light. And this is exactly what social media does. Wow. There's exactly the opposite, because what is social media? When you scroll on, especially on TikTok, you scroll, the faster it's light. It stimulates the senses. You switch your phone off and turn your lights off in your room, and you'll see although you've turned the phone off, you've stopped watching social media, and then do an experiment. Go and scroll on TikTok for a bit at night time. Right? Even if your room's lights on, doesn't matter if there's room lights on or lights off in your room. Then straight away switch the phone off and switch your lights off in your room in darkness. And you will see when you close your eyes, that flickering of light is still there. The mind and the is still there. It is stimulating, overstimulating the mind, the brain and so-called mind, the Maya, so much. It's preventing you from seeing the truth. So this is why they say, get off the nonsense media. Yeah, it's true. TV the mind. This is exactly what it does, and it's demonstrated to you by a movie projector. Remember, if you watch a movie projector in the old days, and you if you went to the movies. Okay, I'm old, so there we are. So I still work from those days. You go to the movie, and there was this projector thing. They ran this like negative. If you sat at the top of the movie theater, behind you there was a hole, and the light would shine through it. Looked like a bright light, would shine through it onto the big screen, and then the movie appeared. But if you look behind you to the projector, all it was a negative, like Bashar tells you, running through the machine. And, it's being projected by light onto the screen. That's exactly how your world is being perceived by you. So the more you stimulate the senses, like this is social media, exactly. This is why you are not seeing the truth. You can't see that, oh no, it's a real world. That person's crazy. It's because you are keeping the light, you are stimulating the senses so much, especially social media. And I'll prove that demonstration. Go and sit and scroll, especially videos. TikTok's the best example of this. That light and the constantly change, and then quickly do it for half an hour, switch your lights off, something like that, and close your eyes and watch what happens. And you're going to see this light like poof, flash, 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 flash. There we are. And when you meditate long enough in quietness and stillness, and you feel the energy, and you can slow it down, and you start perceiving real reality, and you realize, holy shit, everything out there is not real. So you will lose interest in any material things, because you realize, what's the point? Why do I want a car? Because it's a lot of bother. It doesn't even exist. That's a shocker. And you're going to have to process that. You're like, oh wow, because it's a lot of processing to go through. It's like, oh. Well, yeah, it's a lot of emotional, because you so much enjoyed the world, and I love my things. When you realize your things don't even exist, it's quite a shocker. It's like, oh, I might also go to a monastery. Now you understand what the monks that really saw reality. What's the point? Just went to sat in a cave, because they realized, well, why do you want to play with illusionary stuff? There's no real thing anyway. It has no value. You see why they don't have value? They don't value material things, because they know they don't exist. You can create, when you get to Buddha's level, you can create your own material shit, everything. You can create your own universe, as he demonstrated. And I'll share that video. Okay. So give me a while, it depends on the channel. I'll upload it to my YouTube channel. I'll search for those. Once it's uploaded, I will attach under the description. I'll attach the links I'm talking about to this Buddhaverse, the creation of the Buddhaverse. A fascinating reading. I'll share it with you. Okay, it's really, really worth listening to. Very few people have heard this, and it's been shared to the West. That's an eye-opener story, and all documented from thousands of years by many witnesses. So I'll share that teaching from the Buddhaverse, creation of the Buddhaverse, and this other woman and whatever. All right. But try that attention and you'll understand. Just take that analogy about, as Bashar tells you, look at it. When you really visualize it, it makes more sense. If you visualize those old projector screens, because we used to have them, we even had them at home. We had a little fake screen with a little movie. We had to make our own movies. That's how old I am. Not I, but the fake, this illusion that appears in front of you, this fake, it's not young. So anyway, it's like, yeah, back those days. So this is exactly how it is. And then you realize, yeah, now you see it's light at a speed. When you put it through, it's so much movement. You see how fast. It's because that negative is being put through very fast, at a fast speed through light. It's projecting the universe. This is how the illusion, your world, is created. The faster you move the speed of the light, which is the mind, your thoughts, the more your thoughts and you're stimulating it, the faster you pick it up, it's being pushed through that speed, it's speed and light. That's how the Maya is created. When you slow it down, like they would say, they'd slowed the movie projector down. That movie would not, you'd see, okay, the movie would not be real. So you've got to slow the energy, the thoughts and the words, all this excitement, it's the energy. You'll feel it in the body, down. And you've got to exactly get inwards, you know, to be able to see, oh wow. Your exterior world is being created by the speed you are keeping the energy busy in your bubble. There we are. All right. Love to all. I hope that helped. Who knows, but I needed to share it so I can meditate now in peace. All right. Bye.